They thought it would be another smooth midday chat, a prince talking charity, a panel of seasoned hosts nodding along. But the moment Prince Harry walked onto the View set, the air shifted. He wasn't here to charm. He was here to instruct, to lecture, to make sure everyone knew who they were dealing with. And the women across the table, they weren't going to let him sail through without a challenge. The View studio was buzzing, the kind of energy you could almost feel in your teeth. Audience members clutched their coffee cups, leaning forward in their seats as the stage manager counted down from 5. Behind the desk, Whoopi Goldberg shuffled her notes. Joy Behar adjusted her glasses and Sharon Osbourne tapped a manicured nail on her mug, eyes flicking occasionally toward the entrance. From the side of the stage, Prince Harry appeared. The applause sign lit up, but it was hardly needed. The crowd clapped enthusiastically, some even cheering. Harry, in a perfectly cut navy suit, moved with a deliberate slowness, a faint smile playing at his lips as though he were surveying his subjects rather than greeting fellow guests. "Harry, welcome to the View," Whoopi began warmly, extending her hand. "Thank you," he said, his voice smooth, but with a clipped precision that hinted at impatience. "It's good to be here speaking with people who care about the world beyond their own bubble." It was meant as a compliment. It landed like a dart. Sharon's head tilted ever so slightly. Joy glanced at Whoopi, who gave the smallest shrug. The cameras caught everything. The opening questions were softballs, the kind every publicist loves. Harry spoke about his foundation's latest project for wounded veterans, listing figures, telling moving anecdotes. But even in these stories, there was a note of superiority. Each answer was a miniature lecture framed as if he were the only person in the room capable of understanding sacrifice. Joy leaned forward. "How do you balance this work with family life? I imagine you got a lot pulling you in different directions." Harry smiled. The kind that came with a subtext. "It's all about discipline. You either manage it well or you don't. I suppose I'm used to pressure." Joy's eyebrow lifted. "And you don't think we know anything about pressure?" she teased lightly. Harry's reply was instant. "Not on the scale I'm talking about." The audience reacted to a small ripple of laughter mixed with a few murmurs. Sharon's eyes narrowed, her nails tapping faster against her mug. Whoopi tried to smooth it over. "Different kinds of pressure, I guess." "Perhaps," Harry said, leaning back. "But let's not pretend they're yuckin'." It was the first real crack in the glass. Sharon finally spoke. "Sounds like you've had a tough time of it then. Life in the palace must have been dreadful." Her tone was light, but the steel underneath was obvious. Harry turned his head toward her. "It's not about the palace, Sharon. It's about duty. Something I don't expect everyone here to understand." The audience gave a collective, "Ooh." Whoopi sat back, eyes widening just a fraction. "Is that right?" Sharon said, leaning forward now, elbows on the desk. "Because I understand duty very well. I also understand that in America we don't curtsy to anyone at the table." Harry's smile was small, almost amused. "Yes, the famous American frankness, though I've noticed it often comes wrapped in ego." "Better than wrapped in entitlement," Sharon shot back. The tension thickened. Joy glanced between them, weighing whether to step in. "Let's get back to the Veterans Gala." "We will," Harry said smoothly. "But perhaps we should clear the air. I'm picking up on a certain hostility." Sharon laughed once, short and sharp. "No hostility, Harry, just an observation. You've been here 10 minutes, and you've managed to sound like the only adult in the room. And I'm starting to wonder if you believe that." Harry's expression didn't change. "I don't believe it. I know it." The audience reacted again, louder this time. Whoopi lifted her hand. "Okay, let's not make this." Harry cut her off, his tone still calm but clipped. "If we're going to have an honest discussion, let's not dress barbed questions up as innocent ones." Sharon's gaze didn't waver. "And if we're going to have a guest on the show, let's make sure he understands this isn't Buckingham Palace. You're not owed difference here." "Difference? Sheen," Harry repeated with a faint chuckle. "I wouldn't expect it. Respect would be nice, though." "And that works both ways," Sharon said. For a moment, neither looked away. The room seemed to tilt toward them as if everyone was leaning in for what came next. Whoopi jumped in, voice light but firm. "Let's take a breath. Harry, the gala." Harry turned his eyes to her, and the smile returned, raised more than we expected. Despite the moist that so often surrounds these things. He didn't look at Sharon when he said it, but everyone knew it was meant for her. Sharon took a slow sip from her mug, her eyes never leaving his face. The camera operator, sensing the moment, framed them both in a tight shot. Neither blinked. Neither broke. It was supposed to be a warm start. It was already a cold war. The stage manager's fingers scissored. 2 minutes till break. Whoopi caught the signal and smiled at the wrong camera, then found the right one. The seasoned pro, and her snapping the show back into frame. We're back with Prince Harry, she said evenly. Talking service, family, and what it takes to build something that lasts. Which I would love to do, Harry replied smooth as lacquer. If we can keep the noise to a minimum. He didn't look at Sharon when he said it. He didn't have to. Joy forced a laugh that bruised on the way out. All right, let's keep it constructive, Harry. About the gala. Constructive? Harry echoed, turning to her with a winter-clear gaze. Yes, that would be new. Joy blinked. New? New for this table? He let the words sit. Look, I respect the platform, but let's not pretend I'm here to be cross-examined by people who skimmed the briefing on the way to makeup. A scattering of boos surfaced. Others shushed them. Joy's jaw worked, then set. I read your whole brief and your book 2 times. Then you know I'm allergic to loaded questions. Harry smiled like glass. Ask what you actually mean. The audience murmured a sea turning. Whoopi stepped in, voice gentle but edged. Okay, so I'll ask it plain. When people hear you speak about breaking cycles, they also see the deals, the cameras, the constant storytelling. Some hear healing, others hear monetizing. What do you call it? Necessary, Harry said without pause. When an institution ignores pain, you put it on the record yourself. Sharon tipped her mug toward him. And when the record becomes the brand, Harry finally met her eyes. And when the brand becomes a cudgel, when critics pretend their curiosity is civic duty, he folded his hands. Honesty isn't a cudgel. It's a compass. Sharon's smile was polite. The words were not. Your compass seems to point wherever the check's clear. Ah. Harry breathed amused. There it is. The old chorus. Shut up and be grateful. Sorry, I didn't fly across an ocean to curtsy to that. Good. Sharon shot back. Because this is America. We don't curtsy. We clap back. And right now I'm clapping back at the tone. You've called Whoopi's questions noise. You told Joy she schemes. That's not honesty. That's hot. Harry pivoted to camera all charm. If I've been brusque, it's because I've lived the consequences of soft-ped truth. It kills slowly. Whoopi tried to steer again. Let's anchor in outcomes. You've raised real money. You've opened doors for veterans. Talk to me about tangible next steps. Jobs, counseling, pilot sites. San Diego expands next quarter. Harry said Norfolk is green-lit. We're building family support that actually works, not just hashtags and handshakes. He paused just long enough. And we'll do it with, or without the blessing of daytime TV. There it was, the superior little flair that sent a tremor through the audience. Joy's fingers drummed once on the desk. We are daytime TV, she said softly. And we brought you here to amplify the work. You don't have to step on people to stand tall. Harry considered her, then offered a nod that stopped miles short of contrition. Noted. Sharon watched that nod like a hawk watches grass. There's the royal non-apology, she said. You hear without owning. Harry smiled thinned. You want ownership. I own my choices. I also own my right not to be talked to like a naughty schoolboy. Then stop acting like one. That's Sharon said, voice suddenly velvet and blade. Because the attitude at this table today, the correction, the condescension, that's royal Brad energy. And I'll say it to your face. This isn't England. You don't get to swan in and grade everyone's questions like we're your staff. A cheer popped somewhere in the balcony. A hiss met it from the front rows. The floor manager windmilled rap, but no one rapped. Harry leaned in, elbows on knees, utterly still. Let me be frank in your language, he said. People like you, people like me, Sharon repeated low, have made a business model of slicing open families and calling it journalism. Yes, I chose to tell my story. Your industry chose to hunt it. There's a difference. Sharon's chin lifted a fraction. My industry also chooses when to call a guest rude. Consider this that moment. Rude is a soft word, Harry said, voice cooling another degree. What I've weathered is cruelty, and I'm watching its training wheel wobble on this table. Whoopi cut across firm. We aren't doing cruelty. We're doing accountability. So here's mine. Tone down the sneer. We can hold your story and still ask hard questions. And I can answer, Harry said without pretending the blade is a hug. Joy inhaled, made a choice. Okay, hard question. If you say you're breaking cycles, why do so many people feel like you're repeating one? Public pain for public payoff. Harry's eyes slid to her, not angry, just tired of disguising it. Because they don't understand thee, or they don't want to. He held a beat. Some people here included. Joy flinched barely. That's unfair. So is most of my life, he said, and the chill of the line gave the audience goose flesh. Sharon set her mug down like a gavel. You know what else is unfair? Taking pot shots at people's families when you lose your footing. Harry didn't blink. Is that your preamble to talking about mine again? It's my warning, Sharon said. Even keep my family out of your mouth. I have taken my lumps on air for decades. I've owned my mess. But you won't use it as a trampoline. Harry tilted his head. You've certainly jumped on mine. Sharon's voice stayed low. You put yours on a stage and sold tickets. The audience vibrated, a hive deciding whether to swarm. Harry's silence stretched until it snapped. Fine, he said, each syllable polished. You want the unvarnished version? You call me entitled and arrogant because I won't play nice with a table that confuses kindness for weakness. You sneer at my protection of my family while you've built segments out of yours. Sharon's eyes flashed. You don't get to weaponize my life to excuse your manners. I'm not weaponizing, Harry said. I'm pointing out the hypocrisy. You've spoken for years about your husband's addiction struggles bravely, publicly. You understand pain in public, so spare me the performance of shock that I won't bow to yours. A hush dropped, heavy as lead. Sharon's fingers curled once against the rim of her mug. Don't you dare use my family as a shield for your contempt. My husband owned his demons. My children have their journeys. You don't get to smear them to win a segment. I didn't smear, Harry said. I acknowledged what you made public. To make a point you don't like. You built a brand out of endurance. So did I. The difference is I won't pretend to be grateful for the whip. Joy's voice came quick, pleading Harry enough. Keep it on your side of the street. He turned the smile on her again, and somehow it made everything worse. I'm perfectly on my street. Then lower your voice in our neighborhood. Sharon snapped. The steel was back. Because your royal diction wrapped around insults isn't nobility. It's just disrespect with a nice suit. Applause cracked across the room like hail. Harry waited for it to die, then spoke very softly, forcing the microphones to lean in. Disrespect, he said, is asking me to excuse the very tactics that nearly broke my family because they come with a smile and a daytime jingle. Whoopi had had enough. We are going to break. She looked at the stage manager and cut her hand in the air. Break. The red light died. The studio exhaled in 100 stuttering breaths. Handlers surged. Water bottles appeared. The band leader asked a question no one heard. Joyce stared at the surface of her mug, as if it were a pawn that might show her a better choice from 5 minutes ago. Sharon and Harry didn't move. Do you ever hear yourself? Sharon asked, voice pitched low for him. Not the crowd, not the words, the way. You fold the table into a lecture and call it Enlightenment Minute. Do you ever hear yourself? Harry returned. Same volume, same precision. You poke the bruise and call it accountability. A producer ghosted up to the desk, whispered to Whoopi, retreated. Whoopi rubbed her forehead, then her eyes as if dragging the headache out the front. Back in 5, the stage manager mouthed, fingers ticking down. 4-3. The red light RIT. Whoopi rallied. We're back. Let's pivot to solutions, please. Harry, concretely, if someone's watching at home, a veteran, a spouse, what help is available now? Harry took the lifeline. Counseling without a 6-month queue, real job pipelines, not resume workshops, immediate relief funds for families in crisis, and peer networks you can trust, people who've been there. That's solid, Joy said, meaning it genuinely. Sharon nodded once, professional. Good, because that's the only part of this that actually matters. Harry looked at her, something sparking that wasn't anger, something more elemental. Then stop trying to make the rest of it a circus. Then stop walking in like the ringleader, Sharon returned. Whoopi's smile held by sheer will. Okay, we've got time for one more question in this block. She shuffled cards that didn't need shuffling. Harry, if you could say one thing to people who feel you've trashed the institution that raised you, what would it be? He didn't hesitate. You can love a house and still fix the rot. You can moan a country and still refuse to be its cautionary tale. Lovely, Sharon said, and somehow made it sound like a challenge. Now try saying it without talking down to everyone who asks you how. Harry's patience gave a small audible creak. You know the funny thing about the talking down? People only hear it that way when they're staring up from a pedestal. They built for themselves. Sharon's lips parted, not in shock, but in the acceptance that the only way out was through. Here's my last word, this block, she said, turning to camera. Then back to Harry. You've mistaken bluntness for brutality. We can tell the truth without bayonets. Start with that. The band swelled. The red light died. The applause hit on reflex, chairs scraped, the room uncoiled by inches. A security guard took half a step closer to the wing and froze there, statue still. Joyce sank back, blew out a breath. If you're not surviving 2 more blocks of that, she whispered. Whoopi didn't answer. She was watching Harry and Sharon, still facing each other, not speaking, their silence louder than any line they'd thrown. Somewhere above the lights, heat shimmered. Somewhere behind the glass, a producer said, "If it breaks, we let it. We're already in it." On the desk, a cue card trembled in the AC draft. On the carpet, a line no one had drawn was visible to everyone now. And somewhere in the space between a prince's pride and a broadcaster's backbone, something brittle and bright was waiting to snap. The red tally light blinked on. Whoopi gave the thinnest of smiles to the camera. "We're back with Prince Harry," she said. "And I think we've covered a lot of the ground this morning. Let's try to end on a high note." Joy nodded quickly. "Yes, let's, Harry. Maybe you could share a story from your work that really gives people hope." Harry leaned toward his mic, his tone smooth again, but his eyes still hard. Hope comes from truth, and sometimes that truth is uncomfortable, especially for people used to hearing only what flatters them. Sharon's nails tapped once on the desk. "You mean the people who've been trying to ask you reasonable questions for the past half hour?" Harry didn't flinch. "I mean the people who confuse curiosity with entitlement, the ones who think they can talk over me because they don't like the answers." Sharon leaned in. "No one's talking over you, Harry. Harry, in fact, we've been listening to you go on, all while tossing out little grenades about my colleagues, about me, about my family." Harry's mouth curled. "If the grenade fits." The audience gasped, a sharp intake that seemed to suck the oxygen out of the room. Sharon set her mug down with finality. "You really are proving my point. You're not here for a conversation. You are here to lecture and then get offended when someone calls you out. It's pure royal arrogance. You're not in England anymore. No one here owes you reverence." Harry's tone dropped cold and deliberate. "And you're not the queen of anything here, Sharon. Just another loud voice trading on old scandals to stay relevant." Joy winced audibly. Whoopi raised both hands. "All right, let's not." Sharon cut her off, her voice gaining speed and bite. "You know what you are, Harry. You're a man with no career outside your surname. You've made a mess of your family. Your marriage is tabloid fodder. And you've built nothing that lasts longer than a news cycle. Without that last name, you're just another guy in a nice suit playing at being important." The audience roared, some cheering, others booing, all on their feet. The cameras caught Harry's jaw tightening, his knuckles whitening against the desk. Whoopi leaned in, pleading, "Harry, take a second." But Harry's voice cut through, sharp as broken glass. "I don't need a second. I've had a lifetime of this. People pretending to care when they're just waiting for the sound bite. I won't give you another one." And with that, he unclipped his mic, set it down with a deliberate tap, and stood. "Harry," Joy started. "No," he said, already moving toward the wing. "I'm done. I've said what I came to say. The rest is just noise." The studio was chaos now. Security stepping forward, producers waving their arms, audience members shouting. Sharon watched him go, her expression unreadable, but her chin high. As Harry reached the curtain, he turned once, just enough for the cameras to catch the final line. "You wanted honesty. There it was. Enjoy your ratings." And then he was gone. The red light blinked out. Whoopi exhaled hard, looking straight into the camera that was no longer live. "Well, she said that happened." The audience buzzed like a hive. Sharon sat back, folded her arms, and let the noise wash over her. She landed her blows. Harry had walked. Daytime television had its new viral moment, and neither of them would come out of it unchanged. So, what do you think? In today's clash, who was in the right? Prince Harry or Sharon Osbourne? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching this explosive exchange, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the next big showdown.